Elerifa obasi masawo, ediborere obasi bao, enuwaye yagwalo. All right, y'all, we live.
That's a bottle. That's a
Yes.
bottle right there. Yes.
How y'all doing today?
Well, I'm fine. I changed my room. I'm in a different room, but only God knows. What can I do? Anyway, we'll see. I'm good.
What about you, Ifeoma Dupe? How are you?
I'm good. I'm in another room, but everybody knows what this room is. No, you can't. I guess you can't see. You can see the wine
It's
rack.
nice. I like both y'all backgrounds. Really
I
nice.
missed you yesterday. We missed you.
Yes,
I
we
missed
did.
you too. For some reason, when my dad comes to visit, it's always around 10, 11 o'clock. I don't know. That's his clock, and then, since he's at the age he is, I have to stop what I'm doing and focus. So.
Wow. So today I kind of wanted to, you y'all could jump into, I just kind of start off. I wanted to kind of focus on the importance of sound and vibration when it comes to spirituality and healing and that whole thing. Um, because it's funny because when I think about certain, like how we just started off with that music, immediately when you hear that bata drum, something shifts. Like the energy is just not the same. And I feel like that even just about gospel music does that for me. I hear certain gospel music and I just, it takes you to places. My mom used to listen to a lot of gospel music. So, how important is sound and vibration to your spiritual life?
Um, that's paramount for me because um, my road of Oshun is the one for music and dancing. So, as well as the ancestors. So I absolutely love music. Like you love those black films,
Mm-hmm.
I have this love of music and black films, you know.
Wow.
And I'm learning because your films, your list of films is so inclusive and extensive. Um, but sound, you know, um, it's almost as if sound and light came out of the void. This is in creation as the world, as humans, or actually, really, just the world came into being out of the void. If we look at the Kemetic creation story, it's out of the waters of Nun, the black waters of Nun. That's why melanin is so um, uh, pervasive throughout all of creation. You will find melanin. Uh, so uh, the light came, but sound came. Speak those words that are in the Bible that says the word. The word is important. So vibration. That's how we have our being on this planet is through vibration, and that is sound. And then, of course, as you say, when you hear those drums, I know for me, when I hear the drums, just like a few minutes ago, that's a batala. You played that, and my body started moving. Um, it just started moving for Obatala. So yeah. hmm So yes, sound, the vibration of sound.
Right on, right on. What about you, Ifeoma Dupe?
Um, well, I'm a singer, so um, it's like it's probably the primary way that I change my mood. If like I'm in a bad mood and I want to shift it, or if I want to connect with my own emotions, like that's a challenge for me sometimes. So I'll use music, like um, uh, the drums. It's a whole nother world for me. Like I can actually almost do a whole show with not anything but percussion, because that's how deep, like the rhythm part, when you add the sound and the rhythm together, like it impacts me greatly. Or even just bass and drums, like it's major. But I will say that the more that I studied, the more I recognize that vibration is such um, it's a part of our being, like how we materialize in the world, because nothing is really solid matter.
Mm.
Things only appear differently because of their unique vibratory signature. So, and then also our perception of it. So there's some things like a chair, right? We all agree on what a chair looks like. So that's when we see it, that particular vibration of atoms, then we can recognize that's what it is. That's what we call it. But in reality, there's nothing. When we say everything has ashe, that's a part of it, the vibration of a thing. And every vibration emits a sound. Now, not all sounds are audible to the human ear. And so that's all going on in music too, right? Because a person's mood and intention and their own frequency also comes through in their voice when they're singing, when they're speaking, all those things. So like if someone could start talking to you that you normally really like, and it automatically turns you off, it may be the space that they're in. It may be the vibration that they're at. Like we always talk about good vibes and bad vibes, but it's really like what's compatible with where you are. So if someone is vibrating at a particular frequency of, let's say it according to emotion, right? They're vibrating at a frequency of jealousy. You're vibrating at a frequency of gratitude. When the two of you come together, you can't meet, so you do this thing where it's like I don't even understand what you're talking about. Like sometimes somebody could be talking to you and you just like, I can't even hear what you're saying. And that is a part of it. So when we talk about sound, these are the things that causes the sound to emit. And it's also a science to it, right? So there's a science to the drum. That's why each different entity has its own rhythm. Like, and so learning that, I'm not a master drummer. I'm not a drummer at all. So, but I just, like, I know that's a part of the science of becoming a master drummer, is to know that those rhythms they interact with the frequency of the body in a certain way that's causing you to shift. It's very intentional.
Yeah, when we play the drums in a certain way and we sing or we use our voices in a certain way with the drums, it it's so powerful that it allows the Orisha, it calls to the Orisha to come down and to mount someone and to give their blessings and their pronunciations, whatever they have to tell us. So that in itself lets you know how powerful sound is. Then they speak in the Old Testament of the Bible about what's his name? I can't remember the guy's name. Moses's son-in-law, I think it was. who went around this city, and it was the sound that brought the walls down. Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho. I think that was the Battle of Jericho. Kept going around the city and the walls fell. Sound, that was through the sound that was emitted. The other thing is, this is just my theory. Maybe there are others who agree and some who disagree. But I think that the pyramids, a lot of the building of the pyramids was from sound.
Oh.
That they used sound to move a lot of those heavy stones, because those stones didn't come from the vicinity of the pyramids. They came, in most cases, depending on the group of pyramids, they came from further south, and they were brought there. So I think sound, in fact, I don't want to say I know, but I know. If you look at a chain gang or a group of us working together and you start that rhythm, it helps us to pull that stone along.
It increases momentum.
That's what I was thinking.
A lot of those stones in the pyramids came up on barges, but you had to get them to the barge in order for them to come up the Nile. So a sound is very powerful.
It is
powerful because it's vibration.
Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead.
What I was going to say about when we're drumming and singing together, like when we sing in unison, it's a way of bringing everybody to the same vibration. Like we're kind of merging our ashe, so to speak, in a way that just makes the pull even harder. Because in the earth, this is what we have to contend with. We have to ascend our physicality in order to really communicate fully with the divine, right? So this is a way that we do it. Like there's a different power to voices in unison than there is to voices in harmony. So sometimes harmony is appropriate and sometimes unison is appropriate, right? And then there are different types of harmonies. So there's simple harmonies and then there's more complex harmonies. Part of the magic of gospel music is the way that, because a lot of those musicians were not trained musicians, right? They learned how to play by ear and they play by spirit. They have different ways of voicing chords that have you, that move you in a different kind of way. Like it really starts to dig into yourself. So that was part of the magic of the Clark sisters. I don't know if you've seen that movie, like the story of them, right? Is that their mother, like in my opinion, she's a mystic, because I've seen those chords that they sang in their songs on sheet music. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? And like the movement of the chords makes a difference. A person who was really studying the mysticism of that was John Coltrane.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he studied the mysticism of that, and you can hear it in his music. Like it really does invoke a part of your spirit that it's for a lot of people that's church.
Yeah. Coltrane and his wife too.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
He plays that harp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that being said, this morning I meant to share this with you all, but I got busy. I watched it and then I started getting busy because I had like a 8 o'clock meeting. But a sister that was on our show on Wednesday shared with me this link, and it's about a place in New York called the East. And about 35 years ago, so they did a small documentary on it, and they talked about spiritual jazz.
Yes.
They didn't like to use the word jazz, but and they were given like the history, how it was like having church and how They did call and response. Like people will be, like you just have to see this documentary. It's about 7 minutes. But when I was listening to him, it really made me reflect because I grew up listening to a lot of jazz. My dad was a jazz fanatic. But for him listening, I mean, growing up listening to that music, it was a spiritual vibe to some of those artists that you listen to. It was like church for some people. They didn't reference that. Like he was even breaking down the terminology of the word jazz and where it's supposedly. He gave a couple of scenarios and how they were trying to. It was a spiritual way that they did. I never heard about this place called the East, but I felt like in my spirit I've been there because I grew up listening to that music and didn't even know why, really.
Yeah, jazz is has a spiritual. Actually, Rolanda, if you really think about it, all of our music has a spiritual component to it because we are spiritual beings.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I'm speaking specifically of Black people. We feel music way down deep in our soul,
Yes,
and
we do.
that's the spirit. It moves us. So with jazz, oh God, yes. Whew, Coltrane, McCoy Tyner, uh,
It talks about
uh,
all of them.
Gary Bartz. I mean, you could just go on and on and on. George Duke came up with some great stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, um, um, oh God, all of the names. They're just
I just shared
spirit
the link with y'all.
comes into them. This is how I view it. Spirit comes into them because I'm a frustrated musician.
Yes.
Spirit comes into them, and uh, there's a download, and it comes out through the horn, or through the harp, or through the piano, or through whatever their instrument is. And then,
Mhm.
oh, don't forget, you had Sun Ra, you had Pharaoh
Yep.
Sanders. The Pharaoh
Yeah.
Sanders music is so spiritual.
Well,
Yeah.
this group was called Juju. The guy
Yes,
who documentary is now I gotta go look up all their stuff.
it's
Right.
good, but that was a good piece. I'm so glad. I think I told you. I may not. I'm so glad you put it up because I, quite frankly, had forgotten that place even existed. But
Yeah. I know about it.
yeah, it was it was a jazz bembe.
Uh,
Ah.
okay, I can see
Oh,
that.
that's deep.
That's
That's
what it
deep.
was.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
The ancestors and the Orisha were in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I shared the link with you all in the comments. I shared it, and the title of it is Black Fire: Spiritual Jazz and Black American Empowerment Through Music in the 1970s. And there I go with the 70s. I'm just trying to say,
right.
not because I was born in 71, but there was something about the 70s for me that I keep revisiting that period and what it really meant for me during that period was just, I mean, in my reflection. So even when we went through those rough 80s and coming out in those 90s, through that special period in American that really helped to dismantle a lot of Black family with that crack era, I remember hearing a lot of jazz. I still had remnants of being in that period of the night of the 70s where people said sister and brother. And when you heard jazz music, it was like everything was copacetic.
hmm
Mhm.
I really just this is a certain energy that come with jazz from certain jazz music. I just be like, everything's gonna be cool up in here. Immediately
Yeah.
I just start feeling like that, like there's gonna be no
Yeah.
problems. So
Yeah.
that vibration and sound, it's like I'll give you another example. One time I was at the East Bay Church of Religious Science in the Bay, and Melville Moore was visiting, and I guess somebody from the church worked on a set with her or something in a play, and she decided to come to church with this person. So this church is a mixed church. But when Melville Moore started singing, now, first of all, I didn't know she had pipes like that because she's a
Right.
very small woman. So I didn't know she had it like that. But then when she started singing, And the song she sang, it was one of Mahalia Jackson's songs. I cannot remember. It's gonna jump. It's gonna come to me. When she hit a certain note, all the black people, this is the honest to God truth, had jumped to their feet immediately.
Yeah.
Started going like this.
Yeah.
Something in you was like, oh, her vibration,
Yeah.
like it was like, what the hell just happened? And the white people were looking around like, oh my God, like, because they didn't know. It was like we had a certain signal in that note she hit. There was something about the note that
Yeah.
you just can't sit there and be like, well, that was a nice note.
Yeah.
We was just, it was just so, and because I was with somebody who was not black, and that person said, when we got out to the car, he was like, only the black people jumped up like that. Like, it's like y'all all jumped up at the same exact time. We was just like, because it was, whew.
It's amazing.
So there's something about that sound vibration, Ia, when you mentioned the working of the vibration. I think about the Chain Gang. There is one particular song in the piano lesson that they do a song from the Chain Gang. Oh Lord, bird up, bird down. The name of the song. You can almost hear them working on the railroad. You can almost be in like the rhythm. That sound, family.
Yes.
And they at the table sing it, and then they use the tea glass to make that little, like when you hit the stone, you can hear that. You can almost visualize that hammer hitting the steel that they're trying to put into the ground to hold the track in place. That's powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how dope we is with a sound. People just sing something, and you be like, you just have no words.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's that sound.
When you can make sing certain songs in unison and play those drums, and the Orisha come through, you doing some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
You know that just in itself. And you know something? It doesn't always have to be at a bembe.
Oh,
You can be alone in your home and put on some music like from Ella Endol, or I have this thing for Ella Endol. I love her music. So you could or gospel music. Gospel music can do it too. You can put on a song and all of a sudden those tears will come down. And you were in a happy mood. In fact, you're really still happy, but your emotions have been so like you have a fine tuner that has gone, to scratch your very emotions, and it makes you think of whatever. And those kids. Now you know what other music did that. And maybe it's because it's when I was, a different time. But our Motown music, or our sax music, or the music of that era. Some of those things some of those love songs that you hear.
yeah. I can see that.
I just say it brings something. It brings that memory of a different time, of
what?
better time.
Yeah, what song gets me? This is my honest to God truth. I could be I could just walk in the room on this part of the movie, and I would stop and just immediately, like, it just grabs me. The Imitation of Life.
Oh yeah.
Mahalia Jackson starts singing that song at the end.
Yeah.
When that girl goes to see her mother, her mother's dead.
Yeah.
And she
Look,
throws herself on that.
It's not
casket.
right. It's not right. But I do that just sometimes, because that's the one of the things that me and my mother connect on. Like, that is our favorite movie, Imitation of Life.
Imitation of Love.
Sometimes when things are tense, I could just, Baba, save
I'm sorry. Too late.
You know, I love that movie, but what I was gonna say was Mahalia Jackson and Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
No matter what is going on in my life,
right on.
I can play that music, and it brings me back into my body in a way that, like, you know, I can feel the harmony. You know, because yeah.
Yeah. So
Now,
I just immediately thought about sound, the importance of sound.
yeah, isn't it interesting that Mahalia Jackson and Marian Anderson, very different styles of
Mhm.
music, but both of them were like two pillars of great Black women
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
with their music.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I often wonder, just like, even so let's just look at gospel music for just a minute.
Hmm.
There is something about the way, like when you hear the Clark sisters sing, when you hear Shirley Caesar, like you cannot listen to Shirley Caesar sing and not feel something.
Mhm.
Like something would be wrong with you. Like she make you feel that energy. Like, 'cause she's a. So rather if you believe in whatever spiritual belief that they're in, there is something very universal about that
Mhm.
sound. I can hear music in other languages and immediately be connected, because even though I don't know the words per se, the vibration of music. There is a album I have a Afro Peruvian uh, record now, a CD first, and now I have it on my phone, and it's the sounds of Black Peru. I know every song on there, and not until very recently did I learn what all those songs meant. And there were things that I
Right.
really liked that even in my own culture, but I didn't know that because I don't speak Spanish like that. I just knew the vibration of the music, how they were singing it, like like it just made me feel like I knew what they were saying. That's very powerful.
That's because music is universal.
Yeah.
It's universal. You don't have to know what the people are saying for that vibration it harmonizes with your own vibration. That's really what's happening. Their energy and your energy is coming together in harmony, uh, and in sync.
Mhm.
Right on. Right on.
So they could be saying, "I'm going to kill you," but it sounds good because you don't know what they're saying. So, no, not that they would be saying it. The vibration from that you would catch, but they could
Right.
be saying anything. When Cuban music, when you listen
Yeah.
to Cuban music, you know.
Right on. Some of the comments saying, sister said, music is what moves your soul. It's a connection. Somebody said yes to Stevie Wonder and yes to Sarita Wright, his wife, one of his
Oh
ex-wives. I
yes,
love their
yes.
first two albums. I know them
Sarita.
front to back. The ones he produced for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
He
Uh-huh.
introduces Sarita.
Yeah.
I want
Yes.
to be by your side. Black
Mhm.
Maybe. Like I could just go on all
You
the
played that
songs. Like,
song.
man,
Yes. Those are awesome songs. They are
he even
awesome
redid the
songs.
Beatles and it don't
Yeah.
sound the same.
But Earth, Wind, and Fire, they also
Woo!
put a lot of energy into the intention of their music.
Because they had
And
Earth,
they,
Wind, and Fire.
but let
Yeah.
me, yeah. And so it's so awesome. Like, so as a musician, horns are sometimes a challenging thing, right? They just, you just have to have the right horn players. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like, what? It just gets out of control because that's your actual breath, right? And then you're making the notes
Right
with your
on.
breath and your intention. And it's just like some horn players, they got it. I mean, they just got it. And then sometimes if somebody's having an off day or whatever, it could just mess the whole thing up. So the fact that they have all those horns is like Fela, all those
Yeah.
horns, then with the rhythms, then with the voices, then with the all that, putting all that together, like that's just so masterful.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Like, and then to have that all around an intention that
Mhm.
just uplifts people. I mean, that was some good work, man. That was good work. James Brown did the same work.
Yeah, yeah. No,
But
that's so tough.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, that was Maurice White.
Yeah,
He was like the driving force.
Yeah.
that's real talk. Somebody has a question. So I have a question. This is from Sister Cookies. Hey, sis, cookies and cakes. I have a question, and no disrespect. What inspires your facial tattoos? She wants to know about the. Thank you for reminding us. She wants to know about the facial tattoos, Ia. What inspired them?
Um, okay. The tattoo that I have is at my third eye. It is a crescent moon. Um, and the crescent moon is femininity. Um, and femininity is water and wisdom and knowledge and the all seeing eye. The, the tat itself is not the all seeing eye, the tat is a crescent moon. It's there because it was divine to be there. Um, and I like it.
Right on.
That's a. I also have the lotus flower on at the base of my uh, neck, and that's there because, of course, you know the lotus flower symbolizes waters of noon. I have this thing about the waters of noon and creation and the void, and that everything comes up out of that. And out of the muddy waters comes the mighty lotus and the beautiful lotus flower. And and I have a blue purple lotus flower there. And then I have a dragon, red dragon as well. That's power. All of these symbols represent certain um, attributes that one works towards because you're never really there. Once you are there, it's time to go home to transmute back into spirit form. So that's basically, and there are other stories with it, how I got it, how it, you know, where I went, and when I went, who went with me, you know, or how did I come upon the dragon. But you know what is for you. You know,
Right on.
once something is divined, then you just go along with what you're told. You listen and obey. Now, I've listened many times in my life and I didn't obey. That doesn't work out so well. So now I listen and I obey as much as humanly possible. And I hope that helps, Cookie. If it doesn't, if you want to know more, let me know. And I'm happy to share whatever I can with anybody. You know.
And I'm sharing with the dear sister a way that she could inbox you via co.
Okay.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on that right.
The crescent moon is a sign of fertility. It's a sign of life, death, and rebirth. It's a sign of powerful feminine energy, wisdom and intuition, and reincarnation. And it's a spiritual connection, and it allows my, how can I put this? It allows my third eye to see more
Right
clearly.
on. The sister also asked a question: can music be dipped in a permanent high vibration?
Hmm. Well, it depends on what kind of music we're talking about. Because I gotta say, this kind of music that they got right now, with these people talking about, I'm trying not to cuss anymore, but these people talking about bitches and hoes and dogs, calling the men dogs. Although, mm, uh, but that's a very low vibration. That's not doing us any good. That's and I love music, and I love rap. Or hip hop. Especially when it makes me move. But some of them that wording that they got is
Yeah.
just not uplifting. I want that music where it talks about I love you, baby. Oh, baby, don't leave me now. If you leave,
Don't
oh,
leave me now.
don't leave me now. Leave me later. And whatever.
Too funny.
Oh, but shoot, why I want to listen to somebody calling me a bitch? The hell with that.
So, yeah. So, okay, y'all. So when you were singing that, I was thinking about thinking on the term of vibration and spiritual. I just know even when I'm back to the 70s, y'all, please excuse me. But I remember hearing I got work to do, I got a job,
Mm-hmm.
I got work to do, I got work, baby, I got a job, baby. Like I'm like, I'm excited, my man got a job. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear nobody singing about it no more.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about singing about work and
Yeah.
being a
Yeah.
provider that felt good. Or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
even if you were talking about doing some things that wasn't like, like somebody hit me to this. This is how you know the word got past you because the music was so good.
Um,
Would you mind? The reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really listen to the reasons,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I want to be with you, but I can't find a reason to stay with you. I was just trying to get,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
because they said it in like the reasons, they were like, I just want to go to you, girl, and I ain't gonna see you next week.
yeah. He's
Like I ain't
like
trying to
he
stay with you.
doesn't find
Like
a
it
reason why
just
the feeling won't disappear.
say it again, say it again.
He said he doesn't find a reason why the feeling won't disappear. Like
Right.
he says that in the song. The
Well,
reasons
how
why we're here,
nicely
the
do you
reasons
say
why
that,
we
sis?
feel the feeling won't disappear. Like what are they? You know what I mean?
This is so. It's just like Elder used to say. It's not what you say; it's how you say it.
Yes.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah.
So I
That's a big
remember that in
deal.
the music. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
hearing songs that, if you was to listen to it and try to, you'd be like, "Oh, this person is that ain't how it sounded."
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you
Yeah.
have to be, one thing about having, okay, so recording is very different now, right?
Oh
So
God, yeah.
now, if you do mess up, how would you say? Yeah.
I said, oh God, yes. The recording studio has changed.
Yeah.
Well, it's not ridiculous. It's the way it is now.
Well, you could
But
be more precise, but it takes away you have to like really focus in order to capture the feeling from the original thing, right?
mhm.
So there, a lot of the recordings that we love were made from them pushing record and people just playing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it would organically evolve over time. Then they may go back and clean some things up, but at the same time, when you have 15, 20 people in a studio at one time, or
Mhm.
even 4 or 5 people, like you have to find that place where y'all all come together and play together. And the
Yes.
song is the
That's true.
intention, right? So now, when you take a person separately, put them in a sound booth by themselves, and they're, recording alone, sometimes it's hard to capture that same thing. Or if you try to like take a one little bar of the song and replace it, and to even slide back into that same place, it doesn't always happen. You have to be able to do it from beginning to end a lot of times in order to really keep the same. Like, I'm a storyteller, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of my songs are just stories that I've been accused of trying to put too much stuff in one song and all these things, you know what I mean? So, and that's because I be trying to tell the story, like I want to paint the picture, but I had to distinguish between poetry and songs because people don't all the time want to hear like every single detail. So,
Yeah.
and it could get bogged down, but that's a whole nother conversation. The what I'm trying to say is that to keep the vibe consistent, like with your intention for the song, is it's different now. It's just different, and sometimes the music is made not with live instruments, but as close as we can get to those sounds. The technology has increased for us to capture the sound of live instruments better, but something is lost
Mhm.
in the transference between analog and digital.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
when we
Mm.
listen to vinyl, those are analog recordings usually. The older vinyl, those are analog recordings. It's a different. You're capturing something
That's real
different in the
talk.
spirit of the song than in digital files are often compressed, and so
Mm-hmm.
it creates something different in the sound. We talk about sound vibration. How it hits you is
Mhm.
going to be a little bit different. A lot of times you'll see a mix of the two or a way that an artist has found to go around to give the analog to bring back in some of those analog elements in the digital recording space, right? So you can record analog and mix in this is probably more technical than people really want to hear, but there are recordings like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that that was recorded and mixed is different from most songs, most more recent songs, and you really do feel a lot of that same kind of old school music feel, right? It's not just the choice of chords; it is also the choice of chords, but it is not just that; it's also the way that it was recorded and mixed. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Let me think if there's another example. So a lot of like you'll see there's some jazz groups now where everybody gets in the room and they record like that. And it does make a difference. It
Mm.
makes a huge difference.
I can see
That's
that.
why people are a lot of times choosing to do like live albums and different things because you
Mm-hmm.
get
The
a lot of
chemistry
that.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a chemistry.
Yeah,
The
that's
chemistry
mhm.
you need, you work off of each other's energy. There's an energy that is lifted within the studio that you cannot get from a computer and putting down beats. You only get it from laying the percussion track, the
Yeah.
horn track, all the different tracks, and then putting it all together and letting the musicians play together. You can't get that from a computer,
So
Yeah.
I
but
had
you
a
get
project
something
that I was
different. Yeah, you
uh-huh.
get something different. But it's
Yeah.
not to say it's bad. But to say it's very different. That we got to move with the time. So
Yeah.
I
Well, I
believe
had
it's
a
okay to
like
move. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ifeoma, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like my big dream always in music was to do a big band recording live, right?
mhm.
No.
Like with full string section, horns, all the stuff, right? And so I kept trying to put it together, and I never could get my coins right. So what I did instead was I have I work with Russell Brown. He's a local guitarist who he has an amazing ear for music, right? And so what we did was we got someone who was good at sound engineering. We got in a room and we just recorded the whole CD, just me and him standing next to each other. So it gives it kind of a, it was mixed down. It wasn't like a live. There was no audience or none of that. We each had our own mics and we had some sound barriers so it didn't bleed. But it made all the difference in the world for how we could interact with one another. So how the music interacts with the vocals and all of that, and to give it that feel. So it is kind of, you just got to put it together. Like, you got to put it together.
So you
What
know
do
what
you
this
say?
makes me think of? We talking about rhythm and vibrations and spirit. You know how it connects to spirit. I referenced that. There's a video, I gotta find it, where it shows, I think this was at a church, and they were
Mm-hmm.
calling out people by their generations, and every generation danced together except for the last one.
Oh,
Everybody was on same rhythm and it was doing it's
yeah.
like, you know, they were dancing together. And then when they got
Mm-hmm.
to the latest generation, they were all about individuality. They didn't, you know, they was doing their own thing. It was kind of like they weren't even like everybody else was dancing. They was looking at each other, like, you know, like, and trying to do the same. You know, like there's something about um, rhythm and vibration can be used for good, or it can be used to divide oneself from oneself. You know, one of the things I loved about looking at the Soul Train videos from 1970 to 1979 is when I looked at those, like maybe like late 60s, all the 70s. Um, is that when black folks were when they're dancing, they felt like they were in tune and in rhythm with each other. And even when the artists came on the show, they talked to the people like they were family.
Yeah.
It's all on YouTube, y'all. Go look at Soul Train from 1970, I believe, to 1979.
Yeah.
They were very much rhythmically in tune with each other. Even when the guests came out, they was like looking at the audience and dancing with the audience, and you know, there was a connection on that vibration. It's kind of like when you see black folks back in the day going right on, like like we try to do it now, and don't feel. Then
Yeah.
it, like this meant something. It wasn't
Yeah.
just cute like in a picture. It was like there was a vibration even when you moved the fist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we do
That's
that now.
why
Mm, mm, mm.
Beyonce's Coachella performance, that's
Say it
one of
again.
the things. I said Beyonce's Coachella performance,
Uh-huh.
that's one of the things that makes it so powerful and engaging. Like, it's super engaged. Like, it's hard to take your eyes off of what she's doing because there's so many people. And it's like everything has a harmony. Like, you could see the movements happen, but it's like there's so much of it that's in sync, and the representation is there. So it's not just like it looks like a bunch of people that you know also. So it's not like if you watched a video and you see a particular body type, a particular look, a particular this and that. It's not, it's a more um, diverse. I didn't want to use the word diverse. I was looking for another word. It's a more diverse group of people, women and artists that join her and everything. But everything kind of like clicks together like a puzzle. So it is. It's something that's rare. But I recognize too that in the time that we're in right now, that how difficult it is to bring that together, right? Not just because of resources, but also because you have to find people that represent, you know, each person. You got to find so everybody sees themselves, but also they have to be, they have to have the skill and the mental fortitude in order to work in harmony in that way, right? Because if there's 100 people on stage, you can't check out and be like, they're looking at everybody else. I don't really have to be that excellent, right? You got to still, everybody got to bring it. And so it is a different kind of, it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe, but I think it's necessary. Like, the more we can do that, the more we can give examples of how that looks, of how that harmony and how people coming together looks like, the more that people, because a lot of times what we're seeing is people imitate art rather than
Mm,
art imitating people.
I get that.
We consume so much digitally, right? Phones, laptops, notes, books, and TVs. Like, we consume so much that after a while, it blurs the line between what is your thought and what's a thought that was implanted on you from an external place. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
get that.
yeah, what I think it's spirituality, like a lot of what we can do to move ourselves personally forward is also begin to have unique independent thoughts so that we bring to the table our full selves, like our own unique intuitions of things. Like Ia said, you know, the tattoo helps you to see everything, right? But you get a download of, so when you're taking in things, you have your own internal landscape that you use for processing and critical thinking and telling yourself and others what things mean.
Mm.
And if you don't take the time to separate yourself, you have to be separate enough in order to have a unique vision of the world, but you also need to be in harmony enough to know why that matters, right? To have that serve the greater good of all people. Yeah.
Right on. Some people in the room gave examples. Somebody said an example would be Lauren and Nina Simone. Another
Yeah.
sister said she disagreed. I'm not exactly sure where that was. I'm sorry, Cookie Cakes. I kind of got to your comment late. She said John Coltrane still hits my great aunt like it did back in the day. That's so true. That happens for me with music. I can hear something to take me right back to a particular time. Um,
Yeah.
Layla Hathaway and Robert Glasper. I love both of them.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And then she said different genre, generics of people. Um, yeah, I agree. I just know for me, growing up, knowing Soul Train or seeing that on TV, living in a black community. I grew up in a
Mm-hmm.
black community. That's very
Mm-hmm.
different.
It
And
is.
and then it wasn't a black poor desperate community. It was a black prideful community. I grew up where black folks talked to each other and recognized each other. You came out the house, you said good morning to people. You know, you were
Mm-hmm.
walking and you looked at somebody, you prepared yourself to say hello.
Yeah.
So I lived in a place where we weren't individuals. We were a collective because that's how we survived. But at the
Yes.
same time, we still had to have a way of thinking because we did not work in that environment. We had to go work with other people. So you know what I'm saying? And I feel like
Yeah.
when I look at Soul Train, that's what I see. I just see us being able to be in harmony. Like
Yeah.
it's nothing like dancing with somebody than dancing as five individuals.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's like being on a basketball team. We're gonna all be five individuals, but the other team is winning. When the US team got beat with all the superstars on it by some team from another country, and everybody was baffled because it was like a lot of heavy hitters on that team and they lost to another team. This is during the Olympics. And when they asked the dudes from the other team, he said they played as five individuals and we played as one team.
One team.
And that's how they beat all those superstars that was on that Olympic team. And so
Hmm.
I'm
Right.
only saying that to say there's a rhythmic thing to it. There's a you can
Yeah.
still there's a rhythmic to it.
Yeah.
There's a rhythmic, even in spirit. Like I could be somewhere, and if the spirit shit don't feel right, I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I've been places where people started to get ready to do the offerings. I was like, yeah, I gotta get home. The energy did not feel right. And as much as I
Yeah.
wanted to bear witness and be a part of it, because the energy cloud was not feeling good, I just couldn't stay.
Yeah.
But if it feels good, I'm gonna be right in there with you. Like, yeah, this is what's up. That's like being in church and the minister talking about somebody we all know. People just kind of sit there and let him finish his talking to the person instead of getting up and being like, I will not be a part of this by listening with you.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to leave. And
Hmm.
we all
Yeah.
know who this person's talking about. I don't know if you ever been in it. I've been in places where that's been like, that sound like, he did everything but say the person's name.
Right.
Shit.
Right. That's cold blooded, boy.
I've been in some stuff. I was like,
Cold.
wow, this is
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
vibrations. You almost knew it was coming. You know what I mean? It's like you just know. But I feel
Yeah.
like that is really the beauty
Yeah.
of
But it's
sound and vibration.
that's different from when the message feels personal and it's not directed at your person. right?
Right.
When
Okay.
you stand in front of some in a group of people and someone's saying something spiritual
Right.
or preaching or whatever, and you like, oh, you telling my business. It's not. They're not actually telling your business. It's just the spiritual principle applies to everybody in some way, right?
I
Because
get
they
that.
tune into the connectedness of the people that are there. Everyone is connected, and here's what if this is the message that's coming from me, right?
Right.
Then it is I'm connected to everyone. It hits everybody some way. It's of use to everyone in some way, but it's
Right.
not, you know what I mean? I'm not picking on nobody. Cause yeah, I've seen that. And I've
Well,
also been the person that was picked on. You know. My
I mean,
friends
it's
got
one
a
thing
whole
somebody
bunch
say something and you be like, Lord, that message was for me. Like we all had it. Like they're not
Yeah.
saying your
Yeah.
name, but you know
Yeah.
that message, and it's probably 10 other people and they're saying the same thing you saying. That's very
Yeah.
different. Somebody saying you let your kids go to the movies to see
Right.
basketball. You know what I mean? And your kid just went last night. Like, dude, you ain't got to be. That vibration was not like that was
Yeah.
directly aimed at that. So that's very
I've seen some preachers that when they say somebody in here needs to hear this, then they about to go in on somebody.
yeah, right.
Like they know exactly who they think needs to hear it. It's not like
Yeah, you be like, now you're doing too much. Now you're doing
it's
too much.
we should
But
treat each other better. We should treat each other better than that.
so as we wrap up, ladies, what is something? It could be a song, it could be anything that you think will help to raise people's vibrations as we go into this weekend. Cause it's nice today, y'all. It's all sunny.
Yeah.
It's nice
Yeah.
today.
It's supposed to rain this weekend,
That's
but
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
it's
So we don't even know what we're gonna get
nice.
tomorrow. And it was an earthquake today.
It
Yeah.
was?
Did you feel it? Yeah, 6.1 and Nevada, but the northern part. So people felt it. The newsroom felt it at like 4:05 or something like that. I was rolling over, so I didn't know. When I'm sleeping,
No, I
I don't feel. Look, I barely feel a nudge. Like you know what I mean. So it's kind of
yeah,
like, but some people say they felt it.
yeah. I didn't.
So, any particular song with a good vibration you want to lead the people with?
Um, mm, this, I would bet that nobody has heard this, but anyway, I Feel Your Soul by Noel Pointer. He's a
Oh, I
jazz,
love No Pointer.
he's a jazz violinist.
Mm-hmm.
He's been going
Ooh.
now for, I guess, almost 20 years,
What?
but or maybe 15. But he's been going a good while. But he was
Like
a
Joe.
genius. He was a genius. I Feel Your Soul.
Got you. All right, I'm gonna check him out. I was introduced to him by my ex boss, and she used to play Noah Pointer at her house, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna look him up now that you said that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
could listen to his music all day. I mean, there's so many other songs. He
Sister
was a genius.
Cookies and Cake said, Parliament, flashlight, roll skate, roll bounce, LLL. And then she said, Bootsy
Yeah.
Collins, no parking on the dance floor. That's that Friday night music. No
Mhm.
parking, baby.
Uh-huh. D Nice is still DJing on Instagram every weekend, so that's those are
Right,
nice mixes. But the music that I'm using right now is I'm trying to think of one song off of there. It's the whole Diane Reeves in the moment.
Diane Reeves.
Oh, Diane
I
In the
love
Reeves.
Diane
moment.
Reeves.
I
Yeah.
saw her so
That
many years ago when she first came out.
I
I
love
saw
that.
her in Montreux.
Right on. LaDonna says she feels like fast-paced drumming of Baba Tunde,
Love it.
Baba Olatunde. Yeah.
Drums of Passion. Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
yeah. I got that
That's
album
enough.
too.
That's enough.
How
See
could we
Ella
talk about
Head.
vibrations and sound and not say Ella Fitzgerald?
You can't. Oh, wait. There's a new project that the Count Basie Orchestra did. And my friend Andre, who's also initiated to Oshun, is a trumpet player in Count Basie Orchestra.
Oh wow.
He that is the 100th anniversary of her performance at the Apollo Theater.
Oh wow.
It's on Spotify, and the whole project is awesome. There's everybody. It's a lot of people on there. And David Allen Greer, of all people, is on there. So it's just a very it's an uplifting musical experience. Yes.
It's called the what now?
To Ella. Yeah.
Yeah. She was good. She was good.
Mm.
Ella, Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae.
Yeah. Carmen McRae. Oh my God, I love her. I've seen her live in the Oak Park Jazz Series. Sorry.
Yeah. There was a whole slew of, oh Lord, you're talking about Ella. How can we forget Billy?
Right. Oh yeah. That's true too. How are we gonna forget Billie Holiday?
Yeah.
Brother Jeff over here said Diane Reeves is from Denver and lives around the corner from me. Salute. So he did give his shout out to Diane Reeves. I just love it. Yeah. Definitely Ella Fitzgerald. And I just always loved her voice. But how could we not say what's that one hearing her voice right now? The divine one. Sarah Vaughan. How can we forget that?
Yeah.
Ooh. I like the way she do her voice deep. Ooh, did she bring it all the way back? Michelle Farrell's mom, she got pipes. I love Nancy Wilson. Yes, Nancy Wilson. Yes.
I love Nancy
Wilson. Cookies and Cake said Billie Holiday was depressing. You know what? But I needed some of her. I mean, I like all her stuff. I'm not gonna lie, but she helped me to move through stuff.
Billie, I gotta be honest. For her time, Phyllis Hyman.
Oh. Yeah, Phyllis Hyman. Oh my God.
Man. Yeah, I love me some Phyllis Hyman.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah. Once it's Stephanie Mills. Stephanie Mills can sing. I like Stephanie Mills.
Yeah.
Alberta Walker. Yes, of course.
Albertina Walker.
Albertina, I'm sorry, I said Alberta.
She was around a long time. I saw her in the Village when she must have been 90 years old.
Yeah. Oh, Michelle Farrell. We can't forget about her.
Oh, somebody said Michelle Farrell on here. They did.
Yeah, Michelle Farrell. She's that voice is.
She hit that one note though. You know that note she do with her is real long.
Yes.
And then she bring it back.
Yeah.
They put Minnie Riperton on here.
Oh, Minnie Riperton. Oh.
Yeah.
I liked her even when she was with the Rotary Connection.
I loved her when she was with the Rotary Connection.
Black Soul of the Sun. We're the Black Gold of the Sun.
Yeah. Rotary Connection.
Roberta Flack. Wow. Love Roberta Flack. Oh my God.
Oh, Randy Crawford. Come on, y'all. Bring them on out.
Is that her?
Who?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Randy Crawford. Yeah.
Better not get old.
Yeah.
This Friday.
Street
I remember hearing all that out of
Yeah. Liz Wright, Olita Adams.
Yeah. Adams. Oh. Back down memory lane. That is nut right there.
Mm-hmm.
Patrice Rushen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Patrice Rushen.
You remind me.
Yeah.
He was a comedian talking about Mary J. Blige.
She has a song called "To Each His Own." I
Who?
love that song.
Patrice
Rushen.
To each his own.
I
Wow.
love that song.
Well, and then the sister put up George Benson as well. I was gonna say I remember when somebody said a comedian was saying that Mary J. Blige was talking about remind me. She said, "No, you remind me of Patrice Rushen because that was her." You know, remind me of, and I'm gonna leave on this. That remind me of I was in Mississippi and they were playing Dolly Parton's "I'll Always Love You." No, I was in Florida at a restaurant. We got flew in late, and the song was playing. I said, "Listen, that Dolly Parton messing up Whitney Houston's song," but I didn't know it was hers first.
What? That's her song. Oh,
yeah, but you were right. messing up what's the name song like
I
that.
didn't know it, though. I didn't know that was
What's wrong with her?
After Whitney sings something, the song is different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
Just
different now. After
just leave it alone.
Yeah, I
Don't
like,
do no.
I didn't know that was a song. I was like, she is messing up Whitney Houston's song.
Oh yeah, they got some people on here.
That in common. If
They do.
sing your
Barry
song,
White, Al Jarreau. Oh my God.
Al Jarreau, love it.
I love Al Jarreau.
Barry White, I love it.
You got me hanging on the street. Oh, James Ingram and Patty Austin.
Loose ends.
Baby, come me.
Patty Austin and James Ingram.
Yeah.
And you mentioned loose ends. Change. It was a group called Change.
Oh wow.
That came out the same time Loose Ends came out. They were bad.
Wow.
CHANG Change. Yeah.
Okay.
Your vibrations have you, and that's all the good vibration sound and stuff, though. Cause you hear that, you like to get
we
in
could be here all day.
What club we going to?
Okay, the Silvers were a group from the 70s, right?
Yeah.
They produced in Don B's album Pink Elephant, and Don B used to be she was a background singer on
I love her. I got all her stuff.
And so she had one album that came out, a solo project, Little Girl Blue or something like that. And it was good. I played it to death.
Me
but
too.
Then Pink Elephant is produced by one of the Silvers. That man, you talking about some music take you back to the 70s, but still, it's official.
I got her first two albums.
Project of hers. Yeah.
I love her old dude on there. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I'm just tired. I'm like, I feel you, sis, of your coming and going, leaving and staying.
Yeah.
And Dobby, I love her. I love all her stuff. I think she's from Dallas somewhere or Houston.
Yeah, she's from Texas. She's from the same place I think Erykah Badu's from.
Yeah,
Dallas.
same with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wore that album out too, girl. You're gonna make me play that when I get off here before I get on this next meeting. All right, y'all. We gotta wrap it up. Now this is a great show. You get me talking about songs. We could be here all day. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm loving this. And just the people to remember. DeBarge. Oh, Lord, DeBarge.
And play that music that feels good. Like, get that good feeling in you. Get that good feeling in you. Because that's healing for us.
That's so true.
We made our own medicine. When it comes to music, we make our own medicine, man. We can just, get the right music playlist together and we be straight.
You got that right.
You know what they said on here, Maze, with or without Frankie Beverly. I don't really care. But first of all, I love Frankie Beverly and Maze. So I think because we know that when you put on the Frankie Beverly Maze song, and energy changes up immediately. You could just get finished cussing somebody out, and you put this on, we gonna all start dancing.
Now I'm gonna say something that. I don't think there's anybody on here that's going to know this. Maybe if Ye listens to it or is on, she'll know. I'm going to say the Chantels. And they sang, maybe if I pray. That's before your time.
Every night
You'll come back to me.
I know that one. My daddy don't play that kind of music.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Nobody said Lou Ross on here though. So we said,
yeah.
Lou Ross.
Yeah.
Oh God,
on Sunday morning and play the OJs every Sunday.
Oh, the OJs.
Oh, girl. They got this strong love-making vibration music where you like it ain't even no fighting going on. You put them on. Like he started off with
I'm saying that was it. That was it. No matter what happened Saturday night, Sunday morning, my mama get ready to go to church. My daddy playing the OJs.
Wow, that is too much, boy. God.
Yeah. Oh, the Whispers. Yes.
Oh, yes. You serious? How you gonna rock steady without the Whispers?
That's right.
All night long. How's that going?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, if you rock,
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what though? We didn't talk about. Okay, me and Rolanda, we had played the whole "Hear My Dear" and dissected it. Marvin Gaye's album
Yes.
"Hear My Dear."
Oh,
Oh boy,
we didn't
that's
say
the
Marvin
divorce
Gaye.
album. That's the divorce album. Usher thought he put out the divorce album, but honey, "Hear My Dear."
Oh man, look.
Yeah, when it comes to music, we got it. We
That's
got
We
it.
do. We do.
The
We really
America,
do.
the music of America, that's ours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
it is.
belongs to us now.
Yeah.
that's
And
real
it's
talk.
still people out here doing the thing. Like, you know,
Oh,
it's a
somebody
lot
said cameo, Roger. Oh, come on now. The Isley brothers. Are you serious?
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Bobby Womack, he sweat. Oh, somebody pulled it
Yeah.
out today. I think their ancestors is talking. Oh, Love Unlimited, Jeffrey Osborne. Last night,
Oh
I
yes. Oh,
loved
I
the
love him.
stranger. Oh my God. This is like some ancestors coming through. This is all the stuff we used to listen to when we knew the weekend was coming too.
right. And it's Friday night too.
Oh,
We
the
supposed to
band.
Friday
be
night
staying
and I
out
just got
tonight. Staying
paid.
out. Yeah.
Or
They
did
say
you just get
opening
played?
up outside. But stay in the house and play you some good music.
The
Get you a little
platters.
sip of something if that's your thing. If not, have a good meal, some
Yeah.
nice snacks, and play you some good music and stay up as long as you can.
Yeah.
That's real talk. You said the SOS band. Man. All right, y'all. We out of here. Okay, y'all.
Yeah.
Hold
All right.
on.
Love you. Have a good
Love
weekend.
you.
Okay, hold on, family.
Have a
Here we go.
wonderful week.
All right. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel